All right, everybody, we are live here with some really special guests. I'm glad that you could join us here for the Phys Ed Summit 3.0. Thank you so much for joining us for this 24-hour back-to-back global event. We could not make this day happen without you. So as a reminder to everyone out there that we're using technology, so if something crazy happens, we'll do our best to fix it, and that's all right. Make sure that if you're watching the video and something strange happens, just reload the toggle in which you're using it. First and foremost, we would like to thank you, the participants, for taking the time to attend the summit. We are very humbled by the outpouring and support and promotion of the Phys Ed Summit 3.0 from each of you. By sharing with one person, you are able to impact hundreds of students, so thanks so much. After the Phys Ed Summit 3.0, we will post feedback surveys to the Phys Ed Summit 3.0 page, and we hope that you have time to provide us with some feedback as we move forward with Phys Ed Summit 4.0. And once you do this, you'll be able to receive PD certificate for your participation in Phys Ed Summit 3.0. Now, on to our presentation here. We have some very special guests that are representing SHAPE America, and I couldn't be more thankful that they've chosen to join us here this morning. So we have Dr. Dolly Lambdin, we have Dr. Jackie Lund, and then we have Bob Knipe, who are all going to talk to us about some really cool things that SHAPE America are doing right now. So, hey Dolly, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Colin. I'm thrilled to be here. My name is Dolly Lambdin, and I teach at the University of Texas at Austin in the teacher preparation program. I taught 16 years of elementary physical education, and I guess my claim to fame is I did that alongside teaching at the university for many years. So that's been a great part of my life. I've been in some leadership roles at the national level in the United States over the course of my career, and most recently as the president of the Society of Health and Physical Educators, which is also known as SHAPE America. This is an organization of physical and health education teachers that was started in 1885 by physicians who felt that teaching people to take care of their bodies was an essential part of everyone's educational experience. So we're still going strong today and excited to be part of this new movement for professional development. Our initiative right now is called 50 Million Strong by 2029, and that's the commitment of physical and health education teachers to ensure that every one of the students that are in the public schools in the United States today, public and private schools, develop the skills, knowledge, habits, confidence, and desire to be physically active. So we're committed to that, and each one of us has a role to play in that. So thinking about what your students are, how many students you have, and what you're dealing with, that's your number of the 50 million strong if you're in the United States. So we hope this will become a global, worldwide initiative. So I'm going to pass on to Jackie so she can introduce herself.
My name is Jackie Lund, and I am a teacher educator at Georgia State University in downtown Atlanta. And I, like Dolly, spent a lot of years in public schools, but my public school experience was prior to my joining higher ed. I was a high school and junior high teacher for 16 years out in Colorado. And then I went to Ohio State University and was able to study under Dr. Daryl Siedentop, learned a whole lot about, got names for the things that I had learned as a teacher, and found out that some of the things that I had stumbled in were actually good practice. So following that, I've been a teacher educator for 25 years. It has flown by. And also, like Dolly, I am a past president of the National Association for Sport and Physical Education, which was one of the associations under AFERD, and now I'm president-elect of SHAPE America, and I'm learning a lot from working with Dolly and Steve Jeffries, who are the current past president and president of the association, and I too am very, very passionate about what's going on in the schools and the potential. And I remember back when I was a teacher and all the fun that my students had, and it was just a joy to teach them and have them be skilled and successful as a result of being their teacher. So I'm hoping that we can do this for the next generation and really talk about quality physical education. Back to you, Dolly.
Well, let's pass it on to Bob. He can introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Bob Knipe, and today I'm representing PPep Talk. PPep Talk is a project, an advocacy project that we have started. We're all part of it, but I'm going to be here introducing that today. In my other parts of my life, I am the University of Texas Elementary School physical education teacher. This is a public charter school. We serve the low-income students of East Austin, and I could share more about that some other time, but today we're going to be focusing on PPep Talk. I'm just glad to be here. Thank you.
All right. Hey, thanks everybody. So, Dolly, would you want to start it off? Just talking a little bit about SHAPE America and 50 million
Sure.
strong.
Sure, I'd be glad to. So 50 million strong, as I said, is an initiative to really make a commitment. So far, we've worked really hard over the years on developing quality physical education and health education in the schools. And right now, we're ready to make a commitment that we're actually going to make a difference in kids' lives and sort of put ourselves out there, each one of us indicating that we're going to not rest until we've made every child, empowered every child with the skills, knowledge, and habits to be healthy for a lifetime. So we're all dreamers, you know. I'm sure all the people listening on here, and that's why you're on here, is because you're a dreamer too. We dream about all youth becoming physically literate. That is, every child developing the competence, the confidence, the habits, and the desire to be physically active and make healthy choices, both now and for the rest of their lives. So 50 million strong refers to helping every one of those 50 million students in the schools to develop physical literacy that's needed for a physically active and healthy life. We also dream about physical and health educators being championed as the key to developing physical literacy in our society. And we dream about physical and health education being part of the core curriculum so that everyone really believes that this is part of what should be in a child's education. We've got a little ways to go on that right now, but we've made huge progress. So what's it going to take to get there? And that's what we wanted our presentation to be about this morning, sort of advocacy. I think there are three major things, sort of three P's. Professional practice. We have to be committed and have excellent professional practice. And that's why it's so exciting to listen to people talk about really wanting to be great teachers. We've got dedicated and talented teachers across the world that are trying to do this, and we need to make sure that that happens for every child. The second P is public valuing of our efforts. We need a community that values physical and health education and healthy school environments. And so how can we help create that? And the third P is policy. Support on a societal level. Physical and health education being core subjects with the appropriate standards for scheduling, class size, instructional strategies, facilities. So people really have teaching situations where they can make a difference with kids. It's so important. And a lot of that comes from actual policy in the schools and in the communities. So to achieve these three things, professional practice, public valuing of what we do, and policy, we think that advocacy is really important, and advocacy at all different levels, at local level as well as at the national levels and international levels. So individual advocacy, talk about the commitment to being great teachers. That's what gets me so excited about listening to the phys pedagogy group and the Twitter community. People talk about really wanting to be the best teachers they can be and raising the bar for teaching physical education. It's so exciting to me to get to hear these conversations and be part of them. So thanks, phys pedagogy, for putting on this summit, and all the folks out there on Twitter that have been helping each other grow, get better and better. We need to support each other in this work, because this is not easy work. And so I'm going to pass it over to Bob to tell you a little bit about one of the things that he's been developing to try to help support physical education teachers in this great work we do. Take it, Bob.
Well, PPep Talk is what Dolly was saying. It's going to be here to support teachers. And I think phys pedagogy and the Phys Ed Summit here and all the people out on the internet connecting in different ways is amazing. What's being shared now is unbelievable. Before, to get this information, you had to go to conferences. You had to physically be there. But yes, we get information, but what else happens at a conference? One is the networking. That's happening here. But face-to-face, we can't beat that. So I want to encourage you to keep going to SHAPE America and all the other conferences locally. But one of the things that you don't get is these big-time, well-known people who come in and say, what you do is important. What you do is valuable, that I care about it. So we have experts that come in and say, I'm the expert in this, but you know what you do is so important. And I get that. I've been going to SHAPE America, formerly APER, for 10 years now. Every time I go there, I'm energized. I'm just amazed by how much energy is coming to me. And I can go home and I can do my work. But I realize not all physical educators are getting it. And so I was motivated, along with Dolly's help and SHAPE America, to start PPep Talk, because I wanted to make sure that you kept motivated to keep doing the work that you do. You always hear about teacher burnout. And at the level that we're working at to make sure that every one of these 50 million students have what they need, we have to work really hard. And I wanted to create PPep Talk to make sure that you had the opportunity to keep up the good work that you're doing. So PPep Talk, the idea is that we're going to take famous people, people that you recognize, and bring them in and say, hey, why do you value physical education teachers? Why do you think they should keep up the good work? A lot of them have talked about their personal experience, whether it's something that happened in their life and a physical education teacher is there to support them. People are talking about the future, what they're seeing, what they're dreaming that physical educators can do in their community. And we have some great people that have already done that, including Dr. Kenneth Cooper, we have Kevin Carroll, we have a bunch of Olympians. So I encourage you to take a minute here on your Tazzle to press pause. I know that kind of feels weird, you want to keep watching, but go ahead and press pause, because what I would like you to do is look down the Tazzle, and there's a bunch of the PPep Talks listed there. I want you to get a sense of what it is. Some of you have maybe seen them before, and you can just continue watching. If you haven't, please take a minute to go watch at least one or two, and then come back to the Tazzle. For those of you who are staying with us, or you're just coming back, welcome back. I hope that you enjoyed that PPep Talk, and those will be updated throughout going forward. And what we want to do is, I don't know a bunch of famous people. This first batch of PPep Talkers was from SHAPE America, our national convention. I was able to get a chance to talk to them and share the project with them, and they were more than willing to get involved. However, I don't on a daily basis get a chance to mingle with well-known researchers, scientists, and athletes. That would be a great thing to do, but I don't. So I need your help. As a PPep Talk ambassador, you have a chance to take people that you may be connected to at whatever degree, your 9 degrees of separation, and help us to reach out to them. This is part of that advocacy group, is our ability to communicate what we do and make sure that we can include other people in our mission, right? So I would like you, if you would want to become a PPep Talk ambassador and reach out to those people. Now, you're not doing this on your own. I'll share some resources that I've created. I'm going to go ahead and put on my screen here and walk you through some of the things that are available. So there's my screen. There's Jackie. Hi, Jackie. So I'm going to move over. I've created some blogs that go along with the PPep Talks. So the videos were first posted on the SHAPE America Exchange website that you could see here. And the reason why that's put there is I wanted to make sure that people were going to SHAPE America. You know, this project in the first week alone had 4,000 hits and 1,000 video views, and I wanted that attention to go to SHAPE America because they're the resource. They're where we want people to be going to see what is quality physical education. From there, if you click into the next PPep Talk, that's actually the next step. But if you click into this one, become a PPep Talk ambassador, this will walk you through kind of what are the steps to creating a new video. How do you reach out to somebody? There's a cold email template here. Here's the process and how, like, what happens after you reach out to the person. There's also an idea of using higher ed projects, and I'm going to turn my screen back on to talk about that. So some of you may be working in a university setting, and when I presented this, not presented, but I talked to some of our colleagues at SHAPE American Conference. They were at different universities, and I was sharing PPep Talk, and said, you know what, that's a great idea. I want my students to become PPep Talk ambassadors. So a lot of them have an advocacy project, and what they're going to be doing is they're going to be placing this call onto them, showing them the website, showing them the videos, and having them pitch physical education and why it's important, and then asking them to reach out to these people to do the video. So if you're interested in doing that, please get on there You could always email me. The contact information's there. My cell phone's there. Please contact me if you'd like to become an ambassador. We could chat more about it, but thank you for learning about PPep Talk, and I look forward to serving you and creating more videos to help you stay motivated.
Thanks, Bob. Great. So that's talking about professional practice, and sort of we each need to have the commitment to making our own practice the best it can possibly be, being our best game each week, each day to our students. So now that we're going to talk a little bit about public support, and in order to get the public support we need, people have to know what we do. So there's two things we want to talk about here in particular. One is having your elevator talk ready. When somebody asks you what you do for a living, that's your opportunity to make them a supporter of quality health and physical education in schools, and of all kids becoming physically active for a lifetime. They call those elevator talks because it's what the time you have from when you get in the elevator till you get to the floor you're getting off to influence the persons you happen to be with in that elevator at the time. So we're going to each give you our little elevator talks, what sort of makes us do what we do. I'll start with mine. I grew up in a great school system. It had good physical education. I loved it. I had a wonderful time. I was an athlete. I enjoyed what we did in class every day. It was fabulous. We did all the kinds of things we're talking about today, where we had intramural programs, we had clubs, we had leaders programs. It was a really good program for me. But I had a really good friend named Melody who it wasn't a good program for. And every day she felt humiliated because she couldn't do the things that we were being asked to do. I found them easy to do. She found them really hard to do. So when it came time to make my life decisions to what I was going to do with my life, I thought about being an English teacher. I thought about being a social worker. But I decided to become a physical education teacher because I didn't want there to be Melodies in the world who felt disenfranchised instead of empowered by physical education classes. I wanted to make sure that we worked as hard as we could to make sure that physical education and health education classes served every child in the schools. So that's been my life's work. And that's what I'm passionate about doing. Jackie, you want to tell your story? What makes you do what you do?
Okay, but before I tell my story, I'm going to tell you another story about the importance of elevator speeches. Fran Cleland, who many of you from Pennsylvania know, she and I were doing a pipeline workshop in South Carolina, and we walked onto the elevator and looked at a person riding down in the elevator with us, and it really looked a lot like Mike Huckabee. But I had no idea. He was currently a candidate for the president, running for a nominee for the Republican Party, and I had no idea that they let these people run around without security just all over him. And we were by ourselves in the elevator with him. And so we rode down 6 floors, and we totally missed our opportunity because we didn't speak out. And I know, politics aside, when he was governor of Arkansas, he lost 100 pounds himself, and he very strongly believed in the value of physical education and did a lot to help that program in the state. So you always got to be ready for the elevator speech and be ready to give it, and it's got to be off the tip of the tongue. So that's my first story. But here's my elevator speech. Most physical education people that I know have an activity or activities that they like to participate in. Research tells us that people enjoy participating because they are competent and confident as movers. For me, it was dance. For others, it might be basketball, swimming, tennis, or softball. My husband actually bought rollerblades when he was 65 years old and felt confident using them because he had learned to roller skate as a child. Regardless of the activity, someone took the time to teach the person about the activity and how to be a successful participant. Unlike sport, where children get cut from teams or parents can't afford the fees for their child to play, physical education gives every child the chance for learning an activity that they can enjoy for a lifetime. Also, because children develop a broad base of movement in school, they have the basic skills that allow them to learn a new sport or activity as an adult. Physical education can provide the skills and knowledge that everyone can use to enjoy socializing with friends and family for a lifetime. Bob, do you have an elevator speech?
I do, and I took a little bit different approach in my elevator speech. I kind of imagined it being somebody I didn't know at all, and I wanted them to see physical education as the solution. And so I took a little bit less of a personal approach, and so kind of like this. So there we go. So my elevator speech goes like this. We've manufactured physical activity out of our lifestyles. We've made food artificially cheap, the unhealthy kind. So it's harder to live a healthy lifestyle. It's not the norm, right? But I believe that we can make that change, that we can have wellness for all. That wellness is something that every person, every citizen of the world should have access to, that it should be a personal right, just like every other things that we consider rights in our lives, that wellness for all should be there. And how does that public health change? We have public health and people understand that concept, but how do we reach every child? How do we reach every person in the world? Physical and health education can be that touching point where we give children the start. So I believe health and physical education is that place where we can make the change in our world. People know there's a health movement growing. You see it everywhere. But how can we really make it part of the social norm? How can we push it into mainstream society instead of just this niche? And I agree with Jackie. It is that we need to make sure that every child has access to it through quality health and physical education. For me personally, I grew up in an unhealthy situation. My school didn't offer quality physical education. My home life, there weren't very many healthy options. I have a history in my family of heart disease, and I needed quality physical education. I didn't get that till later on in my life, and I wish I had that strong base that's now being offered to many children around the world. Professionally, I know that I could do that in my life. I'm a health and physical educator. I can give that to children. I started a project called PPep Talk, and to hope to encourage people around the world who do this work in health and physical education to keep up that motivation, because what they do is important. As small as teaching the children how to roller skate or jump rope. Just that little piece is so important for creating the change, the healthy world that we'd like to see. And each of us can be a part of that. It helps to stand up.
Thanks, Bob.
People are sitting down. It's much easier to stand up and talk when you're doing your elevator speech.
Being animated is important. So we've been talking about public support. One of the I'm hearing echo now, so okay, it's off. So one of the really important things about developing public support, I'm hearing this echo again. So. All right, one of the great things about developing public support is these stories, us making sure that we tell our stories and we feel comfortable telling them, because it's amazing to me. I think somebody doesn't want to listen to what I have to say, and then I finish my story and they're passionate about it as well and tell me what their experience is like and why it's so important. The other piece about developing public support is about sharing data and the importance of what we do. So we're not going to go into it in great depth right now because we're just about out of our time, but the whole idea of figuring out some of the data from your program that's important. How many kids are participating in your before school runners club? How many kids have improved on their fitnessgram results? What percentage of your students are in the healthy zone in fitness? What percentage of your students have developed the fundamental motor skills that we think are important? Having some information about that to share with people is essential for getting them to understand the progress that we're making in terms of helping kids become physically active for a lifetime. Jackie, do you want to talk just a little bit about the importance of developing motor skills early?
Okay, and Dolly, when you were just talking, it reminded me that a lot of people teach, but they don't really know whether or not their students have learned. And those of the people who are listening to me have heard me talk before. They know that assessment is a real big part of what I do in my career. And I just believe that we need to assess so that we can help document all the good things that we're doing. Okay, but getting back to talking about the importance of what we do in fundamental motor skills. This summer I've had a little bit of time and I've been reading some research articles, and one that I just read last week talked about brain plasticity. Evidently there are ideal times to learn motor skills, and children who fail to learn the skills during childhood typically struggle when they learn them later on in life, or they try to learn them. Now, learning motor skills is not a developmental thing that everybody automatically learns. They have to be taught. And a few years ago in our program here at Georgia State, we had an ex-NFL player in our teacher education program. He had played professional football for 7 years, and one would assume that he was very, very highly skilled. He couldn't gallop. And when we asked him about that, he said that there were a lot of the pro football players who could not gallop. Now, for playing football, galloping might not be too important, but I'll guarantee you that these guys would find a really hard time learning how to do a polka step as an adult. And so as people transition from some of these sports that are, typical that they use when they're younger, they also need to be able to do things when they get older. And if I give our young children that broad base of learning, they can pick up new activities as an adult. Our researchers are also telling us that students with weaker motor skills tend to be less active. And physical education teachers are the ideal people to ensure that students have the competence and confidence to be physically active for a lifetime. I don't know, Dolly, do you want it back, or is Bob going to tell us some things?
I think I'm going to go on and talk about the advocacy at the national levels. So thanks, Jackie. The whole thing of understanding how important the work we do is, we understand it, but making sure we share it with other people so that they also are supporting for our programs is really important. So we've talked about us doing a great job in professional practice. We've talked about developing public support through our elevator talks and through having some data and information available to people. I guess I just want to say before we leave that it's really important to me that all the assessment we do is empowering the students, that they feel more empowered because of the assessment. So we really need to think about how we're doing that, because we haven't always in the past had it that way. A lot of times students have not felt empowered but crushed by it. So I'm really looking forward to the kinds of things that I've seen people doing with portfolio assessment, and really having kids develop that confidence from the assessment that they can get if we do it right. So the last thing we wanted to talk about was our collective voice, or policy. Public policy makes a big difference because we can do great work in our own little schools, but we don't always have the situation that's going to allow us to be as powerful as we need to be. And that's where policy comes in. What the policy says about how many kids can be in a class, or how often you're going to get to see students that they're in your care. So I wanted to just share with people one of the resources that SHAPE America has available, and that is our advocacy page, and make sure that everybody knows about that. It's particularly good for folks in the U.S. because it deals with U.S. legislation and so forth, but it's also good for people around the world who might want to use some of the information that's available there. So I'm not sharing my screen yet. Just a second. Let's see how that goes. Is that coming on? No, still not. Colin, maybe you can give me some help?
Sure. So
I'm pressing the share screen.
Did you push the OK button at the bottom there, Dolly?
Oh, maybe I didn't. Let me look. Oh, start screen share. There we go.
Okay, we gotcha.
Is that it? Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem.
Those little details. So here's the SHAPE America website. You can go on shapeamerica.org, and you'll see here under Media and Advocacy, you click on that, we have materials for advocacy. We have a lot of position statements that our consensus statements that the association has made over the years that might be useful to you, that talk about the importance of recess, for instance. So it's a position statement that talks about why that's important, that you can use in your own advocacy work. Then we have the Legislative Action Center right here in the middle. If you come here, it's really about how you can take action. So there's a lot of materials that are useful to you. The Shape of the Nation report is a report we do every other year that talks about what the legislation is in the states across the United States. Down under tools, here's the essential components for physical education. It gives you a nice infographic to help share that. Each of these things is an infographic with some information about physical education, the academic subject, physical education and health for student success. And then we have federal legislative agenda. So you can see what the agenda is that SHAPE America is working on. Again, we try to get all our partners to work together so that we have a lot of voice in what we're doing. Then there's even the comprehensive school physical education policy continuum, where you can go and look and see what pieces you have going on in your school, and what might be the next step, with some wording that you might even want to use as you're advocating. So you can see what, in terms of for teachers, might be a beginning level and an optimal level, what in terms of the frequency of classes and so forth, with some language you might want to put in if you're trying to help write some legislation. It's always best if we can take legislation to our legislators and say, this is what we'd really like to have, because then it ends up closer to the way it would be helpful than if they're trying to draft it themselves. So I want to make sure you see that resource being available in terms of the background information, but then also this Take Action Now. If you click on that button, it takes you to some of the major things that SHAPE America is working on. The PPep funding that has been going on for a number of years is one of the major things, and designating health and physical education as core subjects is another. The IDEA legislation support is also on the, it's not up right now in the legislature, so it's not highlighted here, but it's one of the other areas that we're working on. But as you can see here, you can see how many messages were sent by people that came in contact with this. So 4,500 messages sent about the PEP bills, 10,000 said about health and physical education as core subjects. Those messages were sent by people just clicking on Write Your Legislators. And again, for people in the United States, this is really helpful. So you just put in your name and address, and there's a letter already written. You can change it however you'd like, but you don't have to write the basic letter if you don't want to. And it fills in the name of your representative based on what your address was listed here. So again, legislators respond to their constituents and what those constituents want. So every one of us taking a moment just to go and communicate the importance of what we do to our legislatures really can help change the way the world functions. So we've talked about the importance of our professional practice for this dream we have of having all kids be physically active and healthy for a lifetime. We've talked about the importance of public support, and we've talked about the importance of policy. Is there anything else you want to add on here, Bob or Jackie?
You've done a good job, Dolly, in summing this up, and I just encourage people to get active and become members of SHAPE America so that we can have a strong, unified voice to promote quality physical education and health.
Yeah, and I just want to sign off by sharing my gratitude being a part of this group, not just the presenters of the Phys Ed Summit, but all of you on your couches in your offices around the world. Incredible that we can do this, and hope I can keep up PPep Talk to keep reaching you, motivated. Please let me know if there's certain people that you'd love to hear a PPep Talk from, or if you want to become an ambassador. I look forward to working with all of you.
So thanks once again to Phys Ed Summit for reaching out to educators around the world, and for working with SHAPE America as we all work together to make this the healthiest generation in the history of the world. Thanks, Colin.
Yeah, no, thank you, everybody. First of all, I just appreciate you taking the time to be a part of the Phys Ed Summit 3.0, and fantastic information. And real quickly, I just need to put in a little plug for a project that Matt Pomeroy, my friend, and I are doing. It's called the SHAPE America podcast. And really what it is we're interviewing physical education champions and teachers of the year. SHAPE America Teachers of the Year, and getting their perspective on different things that are really pertinent to us as health and physical educators. So go ahead and give that a check out. You can look at that in the Podomatic store, or excuse me, the Podomatic.com, and search SHAPE America, or you can search it on iTunes, and you can also find it on shapeamerica.org. So once again, thanks everyone for being part of the Phys Ed Summit 3.0. here at one of the first sessions of the day, so we're really thankful you could join us. So thanks a lot, everybody, and we enjoy the rest of your conference.